Hey everybody, this is Gabe with Rocket Shipping, and I've got another episode of In the Weeds Wednesday, and the topic is volume, partial truckload, anything that's not a truckload, but not really LTL, what the rules are, what you should watch out for, and how to kind of make sure you're getting the best rate, not just shipping it just to get it out the door. Let's start out with the basic rules. LTL, there's a lot of variation, but standard is going to be 12 feet of trailer. Linear feet. We're not talking cubes. We're not talking anything like that. We're talking linear feet. So an easy equation is 6 pallets if they are 4 foot by 4 foot. That'll fit 12 linear feet, and that's the math. Some carriers and some tariffs you can negotiate 16 linear feet. At Rocket Shipping, we have carriers that go up to 20 linear feet. However, if you're just using a basic TMS that doesn't have logic built in, you're going to want to make sure that you know each rule for each carrier before you just book a shipment and put 16 feet on a carrier that only gives you 12 linear feet. Here's the consequences of that. You'll get charged a cubic capacity rate. Likely if your quote was a few $100, it will be a few $1,000s instead, because the volume rate, cubic capacity rate, they're going to hit you with that. So you make sure you're watching out for that. That's why I always suggest using a TMS that has logic built in. Rocket Shipping uses a platform that has logic built in. So if it's 13 feet, it kicks out the carriers that only offer 12. You only see the carriers that'll offer 16. And so that's how that matches. If you know your shipment's going to be over 12 linear feet and you don't have carrier options that'll give you that LTL up to 16 or 20, then your next best option is going to be to go with a partial truckload or a volume load. A partial truckload is typically going to be a shared truckload, and that's not going to be an LTL carrier. That's going to be off the spot border, maybe like a Flock Freight or somebody like that. Shared truckload and trying to optimize loads. Volume, though, which is what I'm going to cover first, volume is just going to be a live rate. And we can do that over API, but you can also call in or send an email, and you can get a quote with a quote number. Got to make sure that the quote number is on the BOL at time of pickup. And it's basically like, hey, we're going to move this when we have 18 feet of trailer left at the end of a truck, or that we know we have 18 feet of trailer for that truck going on that line haul route. And then when it gets to the next terminal, they're going to pull it off, and they're going to wait until they have enough room, and it's going to move as necessary or as able. That just means that it's going to move at a better rate than a truckload, a more expensive rate than LTL, and it's going to move slow. Volume loads, when they're offered, it's only because the capacity's kind of low in that market and they need some freight anyways. If it's a 3-day lane, I would say a volume is going to be 7 days. That's what I normally say to be safe. It could be quicker, could be a lot slower. And so you want to make sure you don't do this one thing. Do not book a volume load with someone who's going to put that freight on the rail. It's stuck forever, man. You can't rescue it. You can't do anything. If you're gonna do that, make sure that shipment is not time sensitive. And what I mean by that is, like, if it gets there next month, then you're okay with that. That's the most economical way, but most of the time our customers think it's gonna be 7 or 10 days, and it's 21 days. And I've seen it time and time again on volume loads. Volume is only to be used when it is not time sensitive, as in, it doesn't need to deliver this week, this month, at all. Second topic is going to be partial truckload or shared truckload. This is going to be more cost effective than a truckload, maybe 20% less than a truckload, or a little bit less depending on capacity. This method is going to get it there in 4 or 5 days if it's a 3-day lane. I always buffer 1 to 2 days for pickup, 1 to 2 days for delivery, so that they can kind of optimize those loads, make sure it gets picked up, make sure it gets moved. And of course, then you could go dedicated, that gets picked up and moved all at once, and that's the fastest transit. Partial truckload, there's a lot of opportunity there if you have freight that maybe is a bit more time sensitive, but it's over length, it's kind of awkward, and or it's always a quantity of like 14 skids, 12 skids, 10 skids, 8 skids, right? That's kind of that volume partial truckload size that's just really tough to optimize. It's very expensive per skid. If you could ship it in 3 LTL shipments, you're sometimes still doing better than if you're doing a volume. Rocket Shipping offers both of those services. There are some providers out there that are asset-based that are doing it. And then of course there's Flock Freight. And I suggest if you have a ton of partial and volume that you check them out. That's kind of the how-to on volume and truckload. What you want to watch out for, again, was the cubic capacity. Make sure whatever you're quoting in has logic built in so that you're not falling victim to a cubic capacity rate. Those carriers never budge on those. If you moved it like that, they aren't going to budge, and they're going to charge you the $3,000 extra bill. You guys have a great day. We'll see you Friday.